Welcome back. Let's make life sciences make sense. Today, we're covering the incredible biological process behind how semen is made and how it gets where it's going. It's a super coordinated journey, and we're going to trace it right from the very beginning to the very end.
Okay, so to get started, let's tackle a really common point of confusion. We hear the words sperm and semen used interchangeably all the time, right? But are they actually the same thing? Well, spoiler alert, they're not. And figuring out that difference is totally key to understanding this whole process.
And to really get a handle on that difference, we're going to need a map. So this diagram of the male reproductive system, this is going to be our guide. We're going to follow the path of a reproductive cell from its creation all the way to the exit.
All right, every great journey has a starting point, right? For our story, that beginning is in a pretty amazing, highly specialized factory. This is the place where the most important components, the sperm cells themselves, are actually made.
And that factory is the testis. And let me tell you, it's a true dual-function powerhouse. It's not just producing sperm cells, and we're talking at a staggering rate of hundreds of millions every single day, but it's also creating that critical male hormone, testosterone, the one that plays a massive role in male development and reproduction. So the fancy scientific name for this whole sperm production process is spermatogenesis. Yeah, I know it sounds complicated, but just think of it like this. It's a special kind of cell division called meiosis. Basically, you start with cells that have a full set of genetic blueprints. And through this process, they split into sperm cells that carry exactly half of those instructions. They're all prepped and ready to combine with the other half to, create an embryo. So you might be wondering, why do the testes hang outside the main body cavity? Is that some kind of design flaw? Nope, not at all. It's actually a brilliant critical temperature control system. See, sperm production is super sensitive to heat. It works best at a temperature just a little bit cooler than our core body temp. So the scrotum acts like this natural air conditioner, making sure that the sperm factory is always running at peak efficiency. Okay, so once these sperm cells are created, they're not exactly ready for prime time. They're still pretty immature, and they need to go through a kind of boot camp to get fully functional. And they need a place to just hang out and wait until they're called into action. And that's where this thing called the epididymis comes in. It's this long, tightly coiled tube that's attached to the back of each testis. And here's a crazy fact. If you were to uncoil it, it would stretch out to be about 20 feet long. Seriously. So just think of it as both the training ground and the barracks. This is where the sperm cells finish maturing, where they learn how to swim, and then they're just stored there, waiting for the signal to ship out. Okay, so quick recap. Sperm are made in the testes, then they go to the epididymis to mature and be stored. Got it. So, when the time comes, these mature sperms start the next leg of their journey, which is kind of like moving down an assembly line. See, the sperm cells on their own, they wouldn't last 5 minutes on the journey ahead. They need fuel, they need protection, and they need something to travel in. So first, they get pushed out of the epididymis through a tube called the vas deferens. And along this path, they pass a few different glands. Think of them as pit stops. The seminal vesicles add this fluid that's packed with nutrients. It's basically their energy drink. Then the prostate gland adds an alkaline fluid, which is like a protective shield. And finally, the Cowper's gland adds some mucus to help with, lubrication and movement. And let me be clear, these fluids are absolutely essential. This whole cocktail they've picked up provides nutrition, it helps them swim, and, this is super important, it neutralizes the acidic environments they're going to face. We're talking about both the male urethra and the female vagina, which, without this protection, would be completely lethal to them. So after going down that whole assembly line and picking up all those vital fluids, we finally have it, the finished product. Which, hey, brings us right back to that question we asked at the very beginning. What exactly is semen? All right, let's put this to bed once and for all. The difference is actually really simple. Sperm, those are just the tiny microscopic reproductive cells. That's it. Semen is the whole shebang. It's the complete package. The sperm cells plus all that protective, nutrient-rich liquid from the glands we just talked about. Yeah, to put it really simply, that seminal fluid is basically a life support system. It's giving the sperm energy, it's giving them a liquid to swim in, and it's acting as a chemical shield against some pretty hostile environments. Without it, the sperm have absolutely no chance of surviving the journey. Okay, so the product is fully assembled and it's ready for delivery. There's just one final path it needs to take to finish its trip and get out of the body. That final exit route is the urethra. That's the tube that runs through the penis. Now, it's actually a shared pathway because it's also how urine leaves the body. But the body has this really clever system of muscular contractions right at the base of the bladder that makes sure that during ejaculation, the two never mix. Only semen is getting through. So let's look at our map one last time and trace the whole thing. It starts in the testis, moves to the epididymis to mature, travels up the vas deferens, gets mixed with all those fluids from the glands, and then finally, boom, out through the urethra. It's like this incredibly complex and perfectly timed biological relay race. I mean, think about it. From the creation of one tiny cell to suspending it in this perfect life support fluid, the whole thing is just a masterpiece of biological engineering. We're talking millions of sperm cells, all being created, matured, and deployed through this unbelievably intricate system. It really makes you stop and think, doesn't it? What other amazing, complex biological processes are happening inside us that we just take for granted every single day?